All right, good to welcome everyone. And it is Tech for Senior. This is episode, Hewie, 270.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable,
We,
270.
we thought we'd be doing it for a month or two.
I know. So anyway, it is a great time and welcome everyone. We do appreciate you back. I know some of you have been with us since the very beginning, and for that we thank you so much. This is, of course, we're going to be talking for the next hour and a half and having a good, and the first hour we'll be doing presentations, and we have some bang up presentations, really good stuff today, as we always do. And then, of course, we'll have our Q&A and followed by our premiere version. And our premiere video today will be Huey's going to talk about um, essential home modifications for your just to for aging in place. Well done, Huey, and that was a great video. Bill is going to talk about rethinking Notepad and lots and lots about Notepad this past year. And you know all those receipts you have and you stick in a big basket. I'm going to tell you what you can do with all those receipts. So that will be coming up at half past the hour on our premiere version video. Now, if you want to see exactly where, I'll put the link in our chat. But of course, if you want to see where, get advance notice in this and also see what our programming is for today on Saturday, you can sign up for our newsletter. And if you don't get our newsletter, please, I would encourage you to sign up and get that. It has a great quiz, which Carl always is getting 100% now, which is great. And it's a lot of fun. We will have it is also sponsored by, of course, the Glendora Seniors Computer Club in California. It's sponsored by, of course, APCUG and Geeks on Tour, who, speaking of Chris and Jim, they must be somewhere in Hawaii. So they're probably coming around. But I hear they're heading back to Canada and they're coming to Victoria, where they're going to be doing some work with the Victoria Computer Club. Yay, that'll be sort of cool. We want to talk a little bit about thank you for those of you who are watching our Thursday show on Tech for Senior Live. We will, of course, we're taking a holiday on in July. So we'll be off air for the month of July. This show will, of course, go on and it will be every Monday. Nothing is changing, but we will be away for the month of July. So
And Thursdays.
on our Thursday show. So don't worry, we'll be back. Just imagine we will have a whole month of news to talk about in August on that first show. That'll be,
We'll have to have a 2 hour show.
I think so. Yeah, it's going to be it'll be sort of interesting on that. So that's where we are. Let me just unmute myself. Remove the spotlight here. And I want to introduce everybody today. Of course, Hewie Poplock, welcome. And I hear you had a good WinSig yesterday.
Had a great one, Sig. Well, we covered, actually, we got through all of the topics, which we don't usually do. And I learned some new things, and I think most of the people who are on learned some things. So,
Yeah, excellent. That's good. And of course, we have Bill James here, which of course he'll be talking. He's got two videos today for you. And of course, he gave us a big talk about his new EV, which is great. And then of course so welcome, Bill. And doesn't he look dapper? So Bill, not only does he look so sharp, and he's doing that because of course he got a new computer and a new camera, but he also has fiber cable now. So he's just got blazing speeds and he's looking pretty dapper there. So I'm happy with that. And Mike Leaman from Moncton, New Brunswick. How are you today, Mike?
Oh, not so bad. It's a beautiful day here in the Maritimes. And to talk of all the fires, believe it or not, even here on the East Coast, we're getting air quality advisories based on the smoke.
Indeed, it's when you look at those fires raging in the north, it's like these are really big fires. So the smoke's got to go somewhere, and it's going to be blowing around. So I expect we're all going to be faced with that. So Mike, I'm not going to tell you, but you have hit it out of the park today with your music. I'm not going to tell anybody about it, but
Well,
it
no,
is
this is your special request, And no,
Oh,
it's
it is.
not
Oh, yeah,
Van
right.
Murray.
Yeah. This is definitely, you hit this out of the park today. I am so excited about it. But we're not going to, our mum's my word. I'm not going to tell you, but everybody will be, this is toe tapping music, right, Mike?
Definitely.
Definitely. All right. So we will definitely see that. So I don't think there's anybody, I guess Chris and Jim are here. They haven't shown up yet. Okay. Well, let's get on with the show. We got a big show for you today. And the first one we're going to talk about, oh, I guess it's Bill James is up first. I'll play. Well, we'll just play Bill's video and we'll see what we have here.
A brand new road ahead. You know, cars have come a long, long way. I've seen it all in my garage, believe me. Hi, I'm Bill James, Tech for Senior. From the earliest sputtering engines to the powerful machines of today. And now there's a new kid on the block, the electric car, or EV. It's really something different, a whole new way to think about driving. These aren't just golf carts anymore, folks. These are real, serious automobiles. They're quiet, they're smooth, and they're changing how we get around. It's an exciting time for anyone who loves cars, or even just needs a good, reliable ride for their daily errands and visits. Now, you might be a senior and you might think, Bill, is an EV really for me? And I say, why not? It's a great question to ask. Maybe you're not driving cross-country every week. Maybe you're looking for something comfortable and easy, something that doesn't make a lot of fuss. An electric car can be just that. It's about making life a little simpler, a little more convenient. It's also about looking ahead, thinking about the future of driving. These cars are packed with new ideas, and they can make your driving experience better than ever. Think about the kind of driving you do most often. Is it trips to the grocery store, visiting family, or maybe heading to a doctor's appointment? For many seniors, daily driving involves shorter distances. This is where EVs really shine, folks. You don't need a giant gas tank for that. An EV can handle all those local trips with ease. And the ride? Oh, it's smooth. No engine rumbling, just a quiet whoosh. It's a very calming experience, very relaxing. It makes just nipping out for some milk feel like a bit of a treat. So, we're talking about a new kind of car for a new chapter in life. It's about independence, staying mobile, and doing it in a way that's modern and smart. It's not just about keeping up with the times. It's about choosing a vehicle that truly suits your current lifestyle and needs. These electric vehicles are not as complicated as some might think. In many ways, they are simpler. It's a different kind of power, sure, but it's power that can work really well for many seniors out there looking for their next reliable car. Let's talk about convenience, because that's a big one for everyone. With an electric car, you can say goodbye to those regular trips to the gas station. Imagine that. No more standing out in the cold or the heat pumping gas. Instead, you can charge your car right at home, overnight, while you sleep. It's like plugging in your phone. You wake up, and your car is ready to go with a full tank of electricity. This is a huge plus, especially if getting out and about for every little thing feels like more of a chore these days. And what about saving money? This always gets people interested. Electricity, for the most part, costs less than gasoline to run your car. Think about your utility bill versus what you spend at the pump each month. Over time, those savings can really add up. Plus, governments often have incentives or tax credits to encourage people to buy EVs. So the initial price might seem a bit higher. But when you factor in fuel savings and potential rebates, the overall cost of owning an EV can be very attractive indeed. It's smart money, folks. Then there's the maintenance, or rather, the lack of it. Electric cars have far fewer moving parts than gasoline cars. There's no engine oil to change, no spark plugs to replace, no complex exhaust system to worry about. This means fewer trips to the mechanic and fewer bills for routine upkeep. That's less hassle and more peace of mind. For seniors who want a reliable car without constant tinkering or surprise repair costs, this is a massive benefit. It simplifies car ownership in a really significant way, making it less of a burden. The driving experience itself offers a unique kind of ease. EVs deliver instant torque, which means they accelerate smoothly and quickly from a stop. There's no lag, no jerking, just smooth power, and they are incredibly quiet. This can make for a much more relaxing and less stressful drive, especially in city traffic. For seniors who might find a noisy, vibrating engine a bit tiring, the serene cabin of an EV can be a welcome change. It allows for easier conversation and a more enjoyable journey, no matter how short. We all want to leave a better world for our kids and grandkids, right? Well, driving an electric car is a great way to contribute to that. EVs produce zero tailpipe emissions. That means no nasty fumes coming out the back, polluting the air we breathe. This is a big deal for our local air quality, especially in cities. By choosing an EV, you're helping to make your community a healthier place. It's a responsible choice, and it feels good to know you're making a positive difference every time you drive. It's a legacy of cleaner air. This commitment to the environment is something many people are thinking about more and more. It's not just about saving money, it's about doing our part. For seniors, it can be a wonderful way to show you care about the future. Driving an EV means you are actively reducing your carbon footprint. It's a tangible step towards a more sustainable lifestyle, and you get to enjoy all the other benefits of an EV at the same time. It's a win-win situation for you and for the planet we all share. It's a smart move for today and tomorrow. Now let's talk about how easy these cars can be to actually drive. Many EVs feature something called one-pedal driving. This means you can often speed up and slow down using just the accelerator pedal. When you lift your foot, the car automatically starts to slow down, and it even recaptures some energy to send back to the battery. It can take a little getting used to, sure, but many people find it makes driving smoother and simpler, especially in stop-and-go traffic. Fewer pedals to worry about can be a real plus. Inside the car, you'll often find big, clear touchscreens for controls and information. While new technology can seem daunting, these systems are often designed to be quite intuitive. Think of them like a big tablet computer. They can display navigation, music, and car settings in a very visible way. Many EVs also come with fantastic safety features like automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, and parking assist, which can be incredibly helpful for senior drivers, providing an extra layer of confidence on the road. These features help make driving safer and less stressful. Okay, so you're interested, that's great. But you might have some questions or concerns. One common one is range anxiety, the fear of running out of battery power. For most seniors, especially if you're mainly doing local driving, today's EVs have more than enough range. Many models can go 200, 300, or even more miles on a single charge. Think about how far you usually drive in a day. Chances are an EV can handle it easily, especially with convenient home charging every night. It's less of a worry than you might think. Adapting to new technology can be a hurdle for some, and that's perfectly understandable. EVs do have new features like those touchscreens and the charging process. But don't let that scare you off. Car dealers are there to explain everything. Take your time during a test drive. Ask lots of questions. Many community centers or senior groups are even offering workshops on new car tech. Remember learning to use a smartphone? It might have seemed tricky at first, but now it's second nature for many. It's a learning curve, not a mountain. Here's some practical advice if you're considering an EV. First, do your homework. Read reviews and watch videos, of which there are many, on all makes and models. Make a list of what's important to you: range, size, comfort, features. Then, go test drive several different EV models. See how they feel. Pay attention to how easy it is to get in and out, visibility, and how the controls work. Think about home charging. Do you have a garage or driveway where you can install a charger? There are options, even for apartments sometimes. In conclusion, folks, electric vehicles offer a whole lot of benefits for seniors. They can save you money on fuel and maintenance. They're convenient to refuel right at home. They offer a smooth, quiet, and comfortable ride. Plus, you're doing something good for the environment. Yes, there's a little bit of new technology to learn, but the advantages can be well worth it. So if you're in the market for a new car, I really encourage you to take a serious look at an electric vehicle. It might just be the best car you've ever owned. I'm Bill James, Tech for Senior. Thanks for watching.
There you go. Thanks, Bill. Excellent. Excellent. Thanks a lot.
I want to go buy one.
Yeah. Hewie, I think you're up next. Unlocking
All right.
CoPilot Vision. This should be interesting.
It should be. Hang on while I get it ready. Unlocking the power of CoPilot Vision in Microsoft Edge, a comprehensive guide to AI-assisted browsing. I'm Hewie Poplock.
This job looks so cool, but the description is long. Let's see what CoPilot and Edge can do.
Hey, Julia, how can I help?
I've got a digital marketing interview coming up. Can you help me prepare?
Absolutely. Start by checking out their digital content, like their campaigns, website, and social media. Look for ways to highlight your skills in those areas.
Okay, but how do I bring in my art history background?
You could talk about how your degree improved your design skills and cultural awareness, helping you create engaging content.
Yes, that is so helpful. Thanks.
You got this.
Introduction to CoPilot Vision. CoPilot Vision enhances browsing with AI-powered insights. Interacts dynamically with web pages for explanations, summaries, and contextual help. Key features: it's AI-driven text and image analysis, instant summaries of articles and reports, contextual guidance for charts and visuals, workflow enhancing navigational support.
Hey, I'm Danny, and I'm here to show you CoPilot Vision.
Hi, Danny.
So I am thinking about what I'm going to do this weekend, and my niece is in town, thinking about going to the California Academy of Sciences, but I don't really know much about it. Is that a good idea?
Sounds like a fun plan. The California Academy of Sciences is a great spot, especially if your niece is into immersive exhibits.
She is super into dinosaurs right now.
Dinosaurs. That's cute. Then this is definitely the right choice. It could be a really fun and educational experience for her.
Where should we go at the Cal Academy if she's into dinosaurs?
Check out the Kimball exhibit. It has fossils of early human relatives and a towering T-Rex. Click on that dinosaur image to see more.
Nice. What else could we do?
The Morrison Planetarium has got a massive dome that makes you feel like you're actually floating in space.
Whoa, this looks really cool. Doesn't it just make you think about how small we are?
Yeah, space reminds us just how much we still don't know. Isn't it wonderful?
Definitely. Thanks, CoPilot. So that's CoPilot Vision. Let us know how you think CoPilot could help you make some plans this weekend.
How CoPilot Vision works. It scans web pages for text, images, and data, analyzes content to provide relevant insights. Capabilities: it summarizes dense articles, answers questions about web page content, interprets charts and visuals. Some limitations: it doesn't interact. There's no click, scroll, or play videos. Practical uses for CoPilot Vision. Here are some use cases. Research assistance: summarize lengthy documents. Business insights: break down complex data. Content navigation: highlight important sections. Visual interpretation: explain images and graphs.
Hi, I'm Ben, and today we're going to do holiday shopping with my personal AI companion, CoPilot.
Hi, Ben. I'm here and ready to chat.
Hey, CoPilot. I'm looking for an ugly sweater for my work holiday party.
Ugly sweaters are tacky and festive in all the right ways. Let's start by taking a look at Target.com.
I'm seeing mostly kids and women's. Anything you think would look good on me?
The men's Nintendo Mario ugly Christmas sweater is a solid choice.
What about this pizza one? That's kind of fun.
It is indeed hilarious. It's quirky, festive, and sure to turn heads at any holiday party.
I don't know that I want that one. Let's try something else.
If you're aiming for a bold holiday look, the Believe sweater...
Ooh, this one's pretty cool. I love Ted Lasso. Let's check it out.
Perfect for spreading some positive vibes at your holiday party.
What are the steps for washing and drying this?
It should be machine washable and can be tumble dried. This makes it easy to clean and maintain even during the busy holiday season.
Okay, let's do it. Thanks, CoPilot. And that was Shopping with CoPilot, your AI companion.
Limitations to keep in mind. Challenges: limited web page interaction, may miss some web page elements, region-specific availability. Example, right now it's in the US only, and responses are logged for safety, privacy considerations. Best practices for using CoPilot Vision. Here are some tips. Ask specific questions. Narrow queries yield better answers. Leverage summaries. Save time by reviewing AI outputs. Combined with manual search. Validate and expand findings. Use for visuals. Get help with charts and diagrams. CoPilot Vision versus other AI tools. Some comparison points. Built into Edge for seamless use. Strong visual search and interpretation. Workflow integration, tabs and data. Natural language, command execution. Versus ChatGPT or Mariner, a CoPilot Vision optimized for web interaction and others standalone AI conversation tools. Here's a chart, difficult to read. We'll we'll zoom in on that in just a moment, but this is as of mid-2025. In other words, it's right up to date. Okay, here's the CoPilot Vision items. So it gives the feature, the developer, the primary use is AI-powered web page assistant with Microsoft Edge, and so on. As you can see, there's a lot to this. Image understanding, yes, it analyzes images embedded in web pages. Offline use, no. It requires internet access and Edge browser. It's free with the Edge browser, and it's best for enhancing web reading and comprehension in real time. Some limitations: it only works on visible content with Edge. No automation or advanced querying. It's dynamic, live web page comprehensive, and contextual guidance in browser. Here's ChatGPT. It's from OpenAI, but which is also backed by Microsoft. General purpose AI assistant for text, images, code, and more. And you can use the web, mobile apps, and API. Vision capabilities, yes, you can see and interpret uploaded and pasted images. Interactivity with web pages, not interactive with websites directly. No clicking or automation. It summarizes documents, conversations, PDFs, videos. It does have contextual help. Offline use, no. And device integration, Windows, Mac OS, iOS, Android, and web. It's free with ChatGPT 3.5 or paid for GPT-4o with browsing and vision, which is $20 a month. It's best for multi-purpose tasks: writing, summarizing, coding, chatting, image analysis. It's not connected to your web page view unless content is pasted or uploaded. And it's a deep conversational memory and multimodal reasoning, especially in ChatGPT 4o. Here is Google Marner, which is Gemini with AI overviews. It's from Google or Alphabet. It's AI-powered web search summaries and contextual browsing aid. It is integrated into Google Search. It extracts and summarizes web page content, not direct image input, and it's always active during Google Search. It generates AI overviews of top search results. Offline use, no, requires Google Search. It's free, included with Google Search. It's best for quick factual lookups, web summaries, and fast comparisons. Limitations: quality depends on search ranking, not ideal for deep or creative tasks. And unique advantage: it's immediate access to Google's web index and search context. In conclusion, supercharge your browsing with AI. Real-time insights and summaries, enhanced productivity and comprehension, and practical tool for smarter web use. You can learn more by going to this web page at Microsoft. Try it in Microsoft Edge, and remember that it may not be available for you. Unlocking the power of CoPilot Vision in Microsoft Edge. Thanks for joining. I'm Hewie Poplock.
Thanks, Hewie. Good information. So it's not available in Canada, so I guess you can't try it, eh?
I don't think so. I will try to keep an eye out for when it is available in Canada.
All right. Yes. All right. Now, as you are aware, we are soon approaching the end of Windows. So what are our options going to be? Well, we have the professor, Bill James, has put together a little video for us on what the options might be, and you might be surprised. So let's see what Bill has to say.
All right, Windows users, let's have a real talk. Big changes are coming, and you deserve the full story. Hi, it's Bill James here, Tech for Senior. Whether you're a student, a professional, a gamer, or just someone who loves their PC, this affects you. So grab your coffee, sit back, and let's break it all down. Windows 10 is riding off into the sunset in October 2025. That means Microsoft will stop sending out security updates, bug fixes, and support. If you keep using it, your computer could be at risk for viruses, malware, and all sorts of headaches. And Microsoft's pushing everyone toward Windows 11, but here's the catch. Windows 11 isn't just a simple upgrade. It's got new hardware requirements, a redesigned start menu, and a bunch of features that might feel unfamiliar. If you've seen that new start menu, the settings scattered everywhere, and all those hardware requirements, you know it's a whole new learning curve. For example, some older PCs can't even run Windows 11. You might need to buy a new computer just to keep getting updates. That's a big ask, especially if your current machine works just fine. So here's the big question. If you're going to have to relearn your computer anyway, why not just switch to Mac OS? I know, change is tough. Maybe you've used Windows your whole life. Maybe you think Macs are just for designers or hipsters, but let's clear up some myths and look at the facts. Mac OS is cleaner, less cluttered, and if you pick up an Apple device, you're getting security updates for years. No nagging upgrade pop-ups in sight. Apple supports its devices for a long time. It's not unusual to see a MacBook from 2015 still getting updates, while a similar-age Windows laptop is left behind. That means less e-waste and more value for your money. Plus, let's talk about the ecosystem. Got an iPhone or iPad? Mac OS just fits right in. You start an email on your phone and finish it on your Mac, copy text on your iPad, paste it on your MacBook, airdrop photos in seconds. It's seamless, and once you try it, it's hard to go back. Messages, photos, notes, they all sync up. It's like tech magic. And for families, it's a game changer. Parents can set up family sharing, manage screen time, and keep everyone connected. Students can use iCloud to access files anywhere, and creative pros can move projects between devices with zero hassle. And those worries about learning a new system, honestly, macOS is built for simplicity. The interface is straightforward, updates don't mess with your stuff, and there's tons of support online if you get stuck. In fact, many people say switching to Mac was easier than they expected. There are tons of YouTube tutorials, Apple support chats, and even in-person workshops at Apple stores. You're not alone in this. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, nothing is, but if you're staring down a Windows 11 learning curve and maybe even a hardware upgrade, it might be time to ask, why not try something new? Let's do a quick side-by-side. Windows is great for gaming, custom builds, and legacy software. Mac OS shines for creative work, stability, and privacy. Both have their strengths, but the Mac is no longer just for artists. It's for everyone. So next time you're dreading that Windows update, maybe think about making the leap. Change is scary, but sometimes it's exactly what you need. Worried about your favorite apps? Most popular software, like Microsoft Office, Adobe Creative Cloud, Zoom, Slack, and even many games, run on Mac too. And if you need Windows for something specific, you can use Parallels or Boot Camp to run it on your Mac. Let's talk money. Yes, Macs can cost more upfront, but factor in the longer support, fewer viruses, and higher resale value, and the total cost of ownership often evens out or even comes out ahead. Security and privacy. Apple is known for strong privacy policies and built-in protections. You get features like File Vault encryption, Gatekeeper, and regular security updates. No extra antivirus required for most users. Still worried about making the switch? Here are some tips. Back up your files, make a list of your must-have apps, and visit an Apple store to try out a Mac in person. You can even schedule a free session with an Apple specialist to get started. And don't forget there are plenty of online communities, forums, and YouTube channels dedicated to helping new Mac users. You're joining a huge, friendly community. To sum it up, Windows 10 is ending and Windows 11 is a big shift. If you're already facing change, why not consider a switch that could make your digital life simpler, safer, and maybe even more fun? So next time you see that Windows update notification, remember you have options. Explore, ask questions, and don't be afraid to try something new. You might just love it. I'm Bill James, Tech for Senior. Thanks for listening and watching.
Well, there you go, Bill. Well done. Well done. Excellent. Thank you so much. As the October deadline heats up, I'm sure we'll be playing a lot more videos as the news gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and you have to make those decisions, right? Okay, so the next one is, of course, is the one I've made today for you on better health with your smartphone. And today we're going to talk about watches and rings. So let's see what we have to say about that. Welcome back to the channel. This is episode number 2 of a 5-part series I'm doing on a guide to better health with your smartphone. In episode number 1, we looked at the settings on your smartphone. So today we're going to look at peripherals. These peripherals include smartwatches and rings. These information gather data, usually cardiac data, and send the information back to your smartphone. Today I'm going to give a bit of a deeper dive in that and give you my perspective as a physician. Now this is a little different from reporters who usually talk about this, and when they come to things like ECG, they say, oh, that's so important, it does an ECG. But they don't really understand why that's important. So I'm going to give a bit of a different perspective today. I'm also going to tell you what smartwatch my wife and I wear, and this might surprise you. Stay tuned, this should be a lot of fun today, and I'm going to give you some good advice. I'm Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, where we help seniors understand technology and help them manage their health, particularly in getting knowledge about specific devices such as smartphones and peripheral devices like watches and rings. Remember, this is the second in a 5-part series I'm doing, and this is episode number 2. Now, there are many benefits to wearing peripheral devices such as watches and rings, and we're going to go through a lot of them in this series. But in this video, I'm going to tell you that everybody over the age of 60 should be wearing a smartwatch for 2 specific reasons. And we're going to talk about those 2 reasons and what my advice is and which watches you should be wearing. So the first graph I'm going to show you is the incidence of pacemaker insertion over the age of 60. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. So the graph on the screen is the incidence of pacemaker insertion based on age. And if you look, you'll see that after the age of 60, the incidence goes up not linearly, it goes up exponentially. So by the time you get to 70, lots of your friends are going to have pacemakers. And by the time you get to be 80, you're going to have lots of friends with pacemakers. So it goes up exponentially. Now, why is this so important? Well, let me give you 2 examples. 2 years ago, a lady in the town that I live in, Comox, British Columbia, was driving along and she was going to fill up gas at a convenience store. She had a medical event, passed out, drove through the pumps into the store. This caused a huge fire and burnt down the mini mall that she was in. The problem was there was a 300-pound propane tank attached to this because they sold propane. And there were 300 residents in a newly built apartment complex just next door. This could have turned out to be a total disaster. Fortunately, the firemen got the fire out quickly and they rescued the lady as well. So other than big disaster, there was no loss of life. Let me tell you about my second personal experience. A good friend of mine, a dentist from Nebraska, I've known for 30 years, had some symptoms. He was up on some scaffolding on his house. He passed out, fell off the scaffolding, broke a number of bones, and had a severe head injury. Today, after a year and a half of therapy, he still has a significant brain injury, needs care, and will not be driving anymore. Had he had his pacemaker put in prior to the accident, none of this would have happened. So in your communities, you'll hear stories about medical events happening. A senior lost control of the car, went across a couple of lanes, maybe smashed into a restaurant, killing a young family of 5. These are very common reported accidents. And these are all because when your heart rate goes down to a very slow rate, the blood doesn't flow to your brain. And this causes you to pass out. And if you're driving a car, this could be disastrous. So we definitely need to know when your heart rate is too slow. So the first tip I'm going to give you when we're looking at purchasing a smartwatch to monitor our pulse, because we want to figure out if our pulse is too slow, we want to pick a watch. And most of them do this, no matter how cheap the watch is. They do a good job of measuring your pulse. But what you want to be able to do is to be notified if your pulse is too slow or too fast. Now, in the case of a pacemaker, it's going to be too slow. So you'll want to be able to control what the setting is on the slow side so it will notify you. So when you get your watch, I want you to set it up, and I want you to set the minimum heart rate before you get notified would be 60. And if your heart rate goes lower than 60, you need to talk to your healthcare provider. Now, a lot of blood pressure medicines you take do slow your heart rate down. And so that may not be abnormal. So your caregiver may decide that you should go from 60 maybe to 55 or maybe even down to 50 before you get notified. But if your heart rate goes lower than 50, then you need a thorough investigation just to make absolutely sure that you are not moving into that dangerous area where your heart is slowing down enough, you're going to lose circulation to your brain and require a pacemaker. And remember, this goes up exponentially. The incidence of this is very, very common. So if you get to be 70 years old, it is very, very high probability that sometime you may need a pacemaker. All right, so the second reason why it is so important that you have a smartwatch is to pick up if your heart rate is going too fast. Yes, too fast. And that could be a condition called atrial fibrillation. And this is where your heart rate speeds up. Now, again, as you look at the incidence on this graph, it's almost exactly the same graph. It goes up exponentially after the age of 60. Now, the problem with atrial fibrillation are twofold. The first, of course, is that there's a 5 times incidence of stroke. So if you have this condition, there's a 5 times increased incidence that you may have a stroke. And this is really a bad thing. I mean, if you have a stroke, you may not be able to drive again. You may not be able to live in your house anymore. You may need extended care. There's all sorts of things you don't want. You don't want to get a stroke. So the other problem with atrial fibrillation is over half the people that have atrial fibrillation don't know they have it. So it's hard to diagnose because if you don't have any symptoms, how are you going to know that you have atrial fibrillation until you end up in the hospital with a stroke? So if we had a way of helping those folks and identifying people that have atrial fibrillation, and it's common because if you saw that exponential graph, if we could help those, if we could find those people, identify them and get them help, then this would be a big improvement in people's well-being. So remember that watch that set the minimum heartbeat. We're looking for slow heartbeats for your pacemaker. Now we want to look at fast heartbeats. So you're going to take that same watch that you've bought because it will let you now set a maximum heartbeat to be notified. And I'm going to tell you to set it at 130 beats per minute. And if your heart rate goes over that, then you're going to see your healthcare provider. Talk it over with your healthcare provider. They may want to do some testing on that. And if it's okay, then we could increase it to maybe 140. But anything over 140, then you need to get that checked out for sure to make sure it's not atrial fibrillation. So we have 2 conditions now that you can just by getting a simple smartwatch that measures your pulse. It's very easy for these devices to measure your pulse, and you want to set it to a minimum and maximum heartbeat, and you're going to pick up the 2 deadliest and most important reasons for wearing a smartwatch. So wouldn't it be great if when your heart rate sped up and it was over 130 and you were concerned and wondering, do I have atrial fibrillation? If we could actually do an ECG or EKG, they're the same, test, and it would identify it right there. And this came out about 10 years ago. On the Apple Watch was the first to have this. And this is now the ability on smartwatches, certain smartwatches that are approved by the FDA, to do an ECG. It will actually do an ECG on your wrist, and it will tell you if you are or are not in atrial fibrillation. This was a big step forward in health with smartwatches. But it even got better. So let's think a little bit more about this. Now, I've already told you that half the people that have atrial fibrillation don't know they have it. So how are you going to help those folks? Well, you'd have to sort of monitor it on your pulse on a continual basis, right? To try and figure this out, because if you don't have any symptoms, how would you know when to push the button to do an ECG on your watch? So the next breakthrough occurred about 5 years later, and these devices were, with the improving sensors, were able to do periodic testing on your heartbeat through the day. Now, it's not continuous, but they would monitor it periodically and try and pick up periods of atrial fibrillation. Now, one of the problems with the sensors we had 5 years ago, of course, were they weren't as good as we have now, and we really required you to be resting when they were trying to monitor this as you went around with your daily activity. So it would pick it up periodically through the day and mostly at night. And that's one of the really critical things about watches, is that you need to wear these devices at night, because a lot of the monitoring occurs at night because you're resting. When you're up walking around and moving, it's harder for these sensors to diagnose atrial fibrillation. And that came out about 5 years ago. And again, the Samsung, the Apple, the Google Fitbit and Pixel watches all have been approved by the FDA to do this periodic monitoring, and it will notify you if there's any periods of atrial fibrillation. Okay, so let's go to fast forward where we are today. And there is one watch that leads the pack because the sensors are so good. This is a watch that actually has sensors that will actually monitor you on a continual basis. Yes, so it's continuous monitoring and will pick up any atrial fibrillation. The other thing is, I often get asked about, if you have atrial fibrillation, is there any advantage in wearing a smartwatch? In all the watches, when you go to enroll into the app, it says, do you have atrial fibrillation? And if you say yes, it won't allow you to use that feature on the watch. But with this one watch, it does. And you then gives you the option, if you do have atrial fibrillation, it's going to measure how long your heart is in atrial fibrillation, what were the aggravating and relieving factors, how long were you in atrial fibrillation, and it's going to document that and send that information to your healthcare provider. Oh my gosh, if I had that when I was practicing, it would have made my life so much easier. And this watch is really the one that stands out way ahead of the pack. And that, folks, is of course the Apple Watch. All right, let's talk about rings. But remember, we're focusing on the over 60 age group, and we're looking for two medical conditions. One is, remember, a slow heartbeat that is going to require a pacemaker, and a fast heartbeat, which may be atrial fibrillation. And how do the rings compare, and would I recommend them? Now, the two rings that we have on the market today are, of course, the Oura Ring, which has been around for a number of years. You wear it on your finger. It measures certain health parameters and sends that information back to the app on your smartphone. We also have the newly released this past year, the Samsung Ring, which does pretty much the same thing by gathering information off your finger and sending the information back to the app on your phone. Now, based on what I've said earlier this presentation, I would not recommend that you purchase either of these two devices for the information we've just discussed. Let me talk about first the Oura Ring, which has been around the longest. The Oura Ring measures your heartbeat, but it mostly does that at night and gives you an average. This is really not helpful in trying to diagnose those conditions because we need real-time monitoring and notification. It's a complete waste of time, and I would not recommend at all the Oura Ring for the health benefits that we've discussed in this video. And the second one is the Samsung Ring. Now this is an interesting ring because, of course, it does do the minimum and maximum heart rate notification. Exactly that what I asked you for in the first part of this video. So why am I not recommending the Samsung Ring? Well, because of the cost. The cost is $100 more than the Samsung Watch. And the Samsung Watch is an excellent product. It not only does it measure your maximum minimum heart rate, it also will do your blood pressure, and it will also do the atrial fibrillation detection. It does a whole bunch more for a lot less money. So I cannot recommend the Samsung Ring. Now, the other important thing that you must understand is that when we're talking about Samsung and we're talking about the health app, is the health app only works with a Samsung phone. But the health app does not work with all Samsung phones. So before you go and invest in either a Samsung Ring or a Samsung Watch, you better make sure that you have a Samsung phone and that the health app works on that to communicate. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the health monitoring features on those devices. In summary, I don't think the rings are a good option for someone over age of 60 looking for the cardiac issues that we've talked about today. So the last little bonus tip for you is I often get asked, is there any benefit in wearing a smartwatch if you have a cardiac pacemaker? And the answer to that question is no. And the reason is, of course, is because your cardiac pacemaker will be set to a minimum amount and your heart rate isn't going to go below that. So there's no reason to be monitoring that with a smartwatch. The other issue is with atrial fibrillation, and most pacemakers now will be in constant communication through wireless technology with your cardiologist. And if you have any bouts of atrial fibrillation, they will know and contact you. Also, when you go in to have your pacemaker checked at 6 months, they check the battery every 6 months. They'll be able to download the software, which will have scanned your heart for all those beats and make sure that there's no evidence of atrial fibrillation. So you're covered in both ways for that. And there really is no point from a cardiac point of view of wearing a smartwatch if you have a pacemaker. You're all wondering, what watch do I wear with my wife? Well, I clearly want the cardiac benefit. I want to be able to pick up those two things I discussed today. So I want a watch that gives me the maximum minimum heartbeat, is going to pick up atrial fibrillation and all the things we talked about today. But I don't have an iPhone. If I had an iPhone, I would have an Apple Watch. And in trying to figure out what my choice is, I also considered the cost because these watches are expensive. And the clear winner here was the Fitbit Charge 6. Now the Fitbit Charge 6 has all the advanced cardiac monitoring that the Pixel watch has. So they're exactly the same, and it has all those features on it, but it's a lot cheaper. In fact, in the United States, the watch sells roughly for around $160 regular, but it's on sale all the time for about $99. In Canada, it sells for around $210, and it's on for about I think it's on sale now at Costco for $169. And these watches have this is the Charge 6, have all the advanced cardiac monitoring that the Pixel watch does. So it's called the Fitbit Charge 6, and that's what I wear, and that's what my wife wears. So hopefully that's been helpful for you today. Be sure and click that like and subscribe because we have 3 more videos coming out. We're going to talk about all sorts of health-related things pertaining to your smartphone. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Hopefully you had fun today, and we'll see you soon. All right. So, Mike Leaman, we are going to get up just before we get going on the music outro. Let me say goodbye to our people over on YouTube. If you want to pop over and participate in the Q&A, you can certainly come over to our Zoom meeting, no problem. If you have to run, don't forget we have a show on Thursday. And if you want to watch this again, it'll be online, well, this afternoon when I get finished with it, editing it. So thanks a lot for coming. I'm just going to turn off the live stream. And Mike, you should be ready to roll.
Okie dokie. Thank you very much, Ron. This afternoon, I guess afternoon for me, morning for some of you folks, I'm going to feature a special request. This was one that Ron requested in our past discussions, and that's the Statler Brothers. And the Statler Brothers are an iconic American country gospel vocal group known for their distinctive harmony, witty lyrics, and a blend of country, gospel, and pop styles. Despite their name, only two of the original members, Don and Harold Reed, were actually brothers. How they got their name was sort of famously from a brand of facial tissue that they saw in a hotel room. They originally go back to 1955 when they were formed as the Four Star Quartet in Stanton, Virginia, performing Southern gospel song music in local churches. They later changed their name to the Kingsmen before settling on the Statler Brothers in 1963 to avoid confusion with a garage rock band with a big hit at that time, Louie Louie. A major turning point came in 1964 when they joined Johnny Cash's Roadshow and became his opening act and backup vocalist. And this 8-year tenure, which featured appearances on the Johnny Cash Show on ABC, significantly boosted their profile. Their career as recording artists took off after singing with Mercury Records in 1969, after signing with Mercury Records in 69. They consistently released hit songs throughout the 70s and 80s, many of which were written by Don and Harold Reed. Their style often incorporated humor and satire. Harold Reed's comedic talent was a particular highlight. They also recorded 2 comedy albums under the pseudonym Lester Roadhog Moran and the Cadillac Cowboys. The original lineup consisted of Don Reed, lead vocals, Harold Reed, bass vocals, Phil Bosley, baritone, and Lou DeWitt, tenor vocals and guitar. Due to ill health in 1983, Lou DeWitt was replaced by Jimmy Fortune. The Statler Brothers are highly decorated, earning multiple Grammy Awards, numerous CMA Awards for top vocal group, and many gold and platinum albums. They were also credited with being the first country act to shift the genre's nostalgia from a rural to a suburban setting. Kurt Vonnegut famously referred to them as America's, excuse me. In the 1990s, they had a successful 7-year run on the Statler Brothers show on TNN, the Nashville network. The group officially retired after their farewell tour in 2002. They were inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame in 2007 and the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2008. And I listed a number of their hits. I'm not going to read them all. Their first breakthrough hit was the selection I'm going to play today, Flowers on the Wall from 1965. And there's a whole pile here. This will be in the newsletter tomorrow. But I'm going to play Flowers on the Wall, and I'm going to include a second clip today from their gospel years, and that's How Great Thou Art. And it features Lou DeWitt before he left the group. And I've also included the link for their farewell concert. We're not going to play that today because it's an hour and a half long, but if you enjoy the Statler Brothers, I would encourage you to look at that farewell concert link and play it. I mean, it's well worth the time. You really get to see their comedic talent and their musical talent all wrapped up into one. So, Ron, if you want to take it away, I'll unshare my screen. And if you'll play Flowers on the Wall for us. And they really were a family group. I mean, even only two of them were brothers, even though Lou DeWitt left the group in 1989 with health issues, they continued to support him until his passing in the late 90s. So like I say, they're pretty traditionalist guys, and you can't help but feel the energy from them. If you have the time, I encourage you to look at the third link I posted, that their farewell concert. It's an hour and a half, but you'll see everything they do, the country aspects of it. And I mean, Harold Reed's comedy is second to none. He's a real classic guy, and their music, you can't help but feel good after listening to it. And I'll give you a little tee up for next week. I've got another classic, a Canadian icon this time, who's well known in the Canadian music circles from my end of the country, actually born in St. John, New Brunswick, but hails primarily from PEI. That's where he grew up. So we'll look forward to that one next week. I'll let you think about who that might be. And that's all I have for this week.
Well done, Mike. Thanks so much. That was really great. If you looked at the enthusiasm in those audiences, it was incredible. My, oh my. Anyway, thanks a lot. That's great. It is now time where we're going to be moving on into our Q&A, and maybe we'll have some questions about the presentations today. Great group of presentations. Thanks so much to all the presenters. If you have to run off, and don't forget, we do have this video will be out on our website, or not our website, on our YouTube channel later on today, as always. And if you missed it, you can certainly do that. Watch it again. And also, don't forget, on Thursday, we'll be having our Thursday show as usual. And this is the week where the Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference is, of course, in Cupertino. And it is a big deal this week. There's all sorts of information coming out. So we'll be covering a lot of that on our Thursday show as well. So big time Apple stuff this week.